Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Kurt, aka the Vitruvian Gamer, and it is time for my top 10 games of all time. Yes, we made it here. We did a top 75 and now we're at the last 10 games of this list. Oh my god, let's go. Let's not talk about more of this. Now, let's see what these top 10 games are for me at this moment in time. Of the games I've played already, don't forget. Let's go. Number 10. My number 10 is a game that was number 22 last year. Bam! Number 22. So it got up 12 spots, which is cool. Nice job. It's a game for 2 to 8 players. Actually, you can choose a little bit. Now, I prefer 4 or 6, but you can play it with more or less if you want. It is a game by CGE, designed by Vlada Shvatel. Board Game Geek, well, you have 2 versions that I'm going to mention because I like them both. So I put them both here. And the one version, the older one, is number 20 on Board Game Geek. So very loved by many people. The other one is 236, but will rise. I'm not doubting about that. And I'm talking about Codenames and Codename Pictures. Now, in Codenames, you are in teams of at least 2 players, and each team has one leader, and this leader is going to give clues. You have this grid of 5x5 with words on it, or 5x4, I think, with codename pictures with pictures on it, with strange pictures. Now, I'm doing it wrong. This is the pictures and this is the normal one. Wow. So you have one with words like this, and you have one with special pictures like this. Now, you have this grid, and you have this code card if you're the leader, one of the leaders, and this card tells you what words or pictures are your color, your team's color, and which one are the other team's color. There are some neutral ones that belongs to no one, and there is one black one. This is assassin, if you don't want to guess that word. So in your turn, you are giving a clue to your fellow players, your team members, and the clue is very simple. You say one word only, and a number, which means you think that the number you say, so for example 3, you think there are 3 words on the board there that have the clue. I have to do something with your 1-word clue. So, and now it's up to the other players to discuss to each other what they think is the right one, and they have to point out the words one by one. If they touch the card, it's locked, and you as a leader, if it's right, you put a card of your color, your team's color, on that card. That's correct. And then they go on. If they guess a wrong one, so one of the neutral ones, you place a neutral card on it and your turn ends. If they choose one of the other players, man, the other player puts their color card on it and your turn ends as well, of course. Now, if someone guesses the assassin, that team loses immediately. So be aware for the assassin. So that makes it a cool thing. It's pretty hard for the clue giver to find a clue that helps the other players. You want to have a clue and a number that's high enough so that you guess a lot of them, because you won't have to get your words guessed first. And but you have to be careful not to give a clue that might also have to do something with other team's color word, or maybe even the assassin. And that makes it so awesome. It's not that easy. In the first times that you play this, it might be harder to get your mind around it. So it's not a gateway. Well, it's a gateway game, but it is not a real party game. Although you can play with many people, it's not something that gives a feeling of party, especially when the clue giver needs to think quite a bit. So there might be some silent moments, but then again, guessing words and doubting and hearing people discuss makes this game fabulous, very fun. So there is a lot of fun and laughter when playing this game, although sometimes there is a silent moment if people are thinking. But this game has given me a lot of anecdotes already, because some things that happened are so funny. That's why I really love this game, Codenames and Codename Pictures. And now I did it right. My number 10. My number 9 is a game that was number 5 last year, so it dropped 4 places, and I'm not sure why exactly. I think it even has been a number 3 game. It's a game by Portal Games, so yes, some of them games can drop in my top 10 or my top 50 or 100, so that's the truth. You can play this 1 to 4 players, and I think this is very great with 2 players, to be honest, but it plays up to 4. It is designed by my friend Ignacy Cevicek. It is number 100 on Board Game Geek, so pretty much loved as well. And I'm talking about the card game Imperial Settlers. Now, in Imperial Settlers, each player plays a different faction, which are asymmetrical, meaning each faction is different. Each faction has their own cards, their faction cards, and there is a main common draw pile. Each player gets one action, then it goes around and you do another action. So the play goes around very smoothly. And you're trying to build buildings on your board. You have your common buildings and you have faction buildings. Common buildings, they can be destroyed, but are easier to build. Faction buildings, most of the time you need a foundation to build on, so you need to destroy a common building to build one of your faction buildings, but they might be more powerful and give you more points at the end of the game. You can do so many things with these cards because the cards are multi-use. You can raise cards from your hand or raise opponents, which give you resources. You can build locations with it. You can make deals with them and stuff like that. So you have many options. It's a hand management card game. You have expansions that add a set collection to it, that add push your luck to it with the Aztecs, the newest expansion from this year. And wow, man, the artwork is cute. Building your empire is fun. Trying to find a good way to score points and build an engine with the cards that you draw, because there is a randomness to it, because you don't know which cards you're going to draw, is really fun. Now, I know with more players the game might take a little bit longer, and probably that's the reason why it dropped some spaces, because this game might take a little bit longer than you think it would. And especially if you have players with AP. Now you want to play this game with people who love to play fast, because you can really think ahead. So normally if it's your turn, you know what you are planning to do and you can just do it, and then play goes so smoothly. If you have one of those players that is just doing other stuff, using his cell phone or whatever, and starts to think when it's his turn, yeah, then things slow down. But if you play this with those cool people that don't get distracted, then this game is awesome. That's why it's still in my top 10 at number 9. Imperial Settlers. Number 8. Wow, I love this game. And number 8 is also my number 3 game of 2016. And this might come as a surprise for some people, but I don't care. I love this game. There is an expansion announced which will add more to the game, and I'm so stoked. It's one of my most anticipated things to come out this year. And I'm talking about the game again, Renegade Games Studios, a game by Paul Dennen. 2 to 4 players. It is number 556 on Board Game Geek, so a way to go to the top, but I think they will rise more. And it is Clank. It has an exclamation mark, so don't forget it. It is Clank. And in Clank, it is a deck builder, and it's not a cooperative deck builder this time. You're playing against each other, and this deck builder adds a board to the game, and this board is these caves, this dungeon. And you are going in the dungeon, you play cards to move, you're playing cards to fight goblins, and you're playing cards to buy new cards that give you more movement or strength or powers. Now, the cool thing about this is the Clank as well. You have this drawback with cubes in it. Now, in the beginning of the game, they're all black cubes, which do nothing. But if you play cards that make clank, which is noise, then you put one of your colored cubes on the clank space on the board. At a moment, when you refill the cards that you can buy, if you refill it and there's a card with a dragon symbol, because there's a dragon somewhere in the cave, then you take all these Clank cubes from the board and you place it in the bag together with the black ones. And then you're going to draw a certain number of these cubes. If it's a black cube, nothing happens, but if it's a cube of a player, then it goes on their wound track. They get wounded by the beast. And the dragon, as soon as actually the game, you're trying to pick up these big point artifacts. Now, normally you can only take one, and you have artifacts that are worth only 5 points, but you have one that is worth 30 points, for example, but you have to get deeper into the dungeon. Now, you can do what you want. You can go for the low point one and get the hell out of the dungeon. And if you're out of there, there's a timer until the dragon destroys everything. Or you can go deeper and try to get more points that way. But the dragon gets more and more angry if you pick up dragon eggs or if you pick up artifacts. The dragon goes up a track and you have to draw more cubes each time there is a Clank card. And that's so exciting. It is a race, there's a push your luck element to it, it's a deck builder, it is thematic. This one, folks, you might have noticed, you haven't seen Thunderstone in this list. Now I have Thunderstone Advanced with one expansion, so it's a game that I really like, but it's not on this list. This game destroyed Thunderstone Advanced for me. This plays faster, cooler, even more thematic than Thunderstone, and that's why this game, my number 3 of 2016, is my number 8 of all time. Clank! My number 7 is number 2 game of 2016! Imagine confetti and stuff like that. It is a game playable for 1 to 5 players, published by Stronghold Games, or originally from Fricks Games. It is designed by Jacob Frixelius, which is a cool name. It is number 24 already on Board Game Geek, which is very high because this game isn't that old yet. It just got released. And it is hard to get at this moment as I make this list. There will be a reprint very soon. And I'm talking about Terraforming Mars. Now, we all hoped there will be another Mars game in my top list this year, but First Martians got delayed. It will be for 2017, and I hope that game will be a top 10 game next year. But anyway, this one is very different, of course, than First Martians. This one is not cooperative, this is competitive, and you are trying together still to terraform Mars. And the way that works, you have this board of Mars with hexes on them, and you need to have a certain amount of things on the planet to be terraformed, and that also ends the game. There have to be a certain number of oceans, oxygen level has to be high enough, and the temperature has to be high enough. And you do that by playing cards. Now, very cool system. Each round you draw a number of cards and you can buy cards from them. So you don't have them yet, you have to pay credits to buy these cards into your hand. If that's done, you're going to play 1 or 2 cards each turn. And these cards, well, do different things. You're trying to build an engine. And that's the cool thing about it. It reminds me a lot of Imperial Settlers, which is right over here in my top 10 as well. Because you want to make an engine with the cards that you get. Now, these cards aren't cheap, and so you will have to make choices. Some cards you can only play at a certain moment in time, when oxygen is high enough, when the temperature is high enough, stuff like that. And these cards will help you by placing oceans on the board, forests or greenery on the board, which give more oxygen to the planet. And that way you're going to score credits. Now, if you score credits during the game, that also means that, well, it's victory points, that also means that you get more income each round. And so points during the game are very important. It gives you more money to pay cards with. Now, there are materials that make some cards easier to build. Titanium, for example, and steel, if I'm not mistaken, they are worth more if you use them for building cards or making playing cards that also have that symbol on them. Now, talking about symbols, the symbology on this game, the iconography is pretty bad. Well, it's okay, but it's hard to read. just most of the time you can just ignore it. For some it's important, but some of this convoluted iconry is just not important. Just read the text, because each card has also the text about what it does. So just read the text and you'll be okay. Very cool game. I really like how it works, how the way you have to think about the cards you got, what's the best thing to do, which cards do I buy, which cards will I play, which cards will I keep for later during the game because I cannot use them yet. Will I keep them in my hand? Will I buy this now? For things. There are achievements that you can get and milestones. It's also a kind of a race to those. Pretty cool game. Well, very cool game. It's my number 7, and that's Terraforming Mars. My number 6 was number 4 last year, so it dropped 2 places. It is number 70 on Board Game Geek, so I like it a little bit more than most people, but still, people seem to think this game is pretty okay. It plays 1 to 5 players. It's a cooperative game, another deck builder this time. It is by Upper Deck Entertainment, designed by Ben Chikowski, Daniel Mandel, and it is the last legendary in this list. Legendary Encounters, an alien deck building game. Now, I already talked about the Firefly version. Now, this is a lot similar to it. It has a different theme, of course, aliens. All the alien movies. There are 4 scenarios in this game that you can play, and that's what makes this game so cool, because these scenarios are so thematic, so cool, and these are also a big challenge. Not as hard challenge as the Firefly one, and that's why I probably like this more. You have more the feeling that you have a chance of winning. And this game, well, actually I don't have to talk about this that much. You have played through the movies, so you choose one of the 4 movies. You have 3 missions to do in the story, and well, that's what you try to do. Again, you have cards in your hand that you use to scan rooms with, so you know what's in the room. You can fight the creatures in the room, and you can buy new crew members to help you, so new cards to help you in the future. In the meanwhile, you can get hurt, of course, you could die. There is a rule that if you die, you could turn into an alien. There is even a face hugger in this game. So sometimes you get a face hugger in front of you, like that. And then you have to get rid of it very soon, very fast. If you don't, there is this chestburster card that you will have to put in your discard pile. So later, if you shuffle your deck again, you can draw a chestburster. If you do so, you are becoming an alien, and then you are very powerful. You have a new set of cards that you can use to destroy other players with. It happened once. We just got destroyed by the alien player, so that's pretty hard. You can even play this with a traitor system. I haven't done that yet, so it might add more to it. I have no idea. I like it cooperative all the way, but this game is so cool. There is an expansion that's apparently finally in stores here in Belgium, so I probably will have to pick up the expansion, which adds more to the game, and more is better if you love a game, so I will probably get that one. This is my number 6. I really love this game, Legendary Encounters, an alien deck building game. Okay, for my top 5, we've entered the top 5. I'm going to be standing because I put them on top of these shelves here. And my number 5 is the number 1 game of 2016, my favorite new game of the last year. And I'm talking about a game, I'm sorry folks, by Portal Games. Now first, I thought, let me tell you first which game it is. It is designed by Grant Rodiak with help of Michael Orach and Mikhail Walchak. It is number 419 on Board Game Geeks, which blew my mind because this game deserves a lot better than that. It might still have to grow on people, I'm not sure. You can play this 2 to 4 players, and I'm talking about this huge game of Cry Havoc. Now, I know it's a Portal game again. I know what you're thinking. Oh man, he just loves all Portal games. And you just saw games dropping a little bit, and there are even games that are not on this list, so please be gentle for me. Now, Cry Havoc is a game that I did not expect to like. I played the prototype a few years ago at PortalCon in Poland, And there it was still a prototype, of course, and it was not my kind of game. Area control, it's just not my cup of tea. Now, a few years later, Havoc is there. I got sent a copy because I had to demo it for Portal Games. And I thought, like, man, this is going to be a hard time, me demoing a game like this. It's not my cup of tea. But this game is awesome. This game is just awesome. So in this game, each player plays a faction. There we go with the factions again. And each faction is very different from the other one. And each player has a deck of cards. It has a small amount of deck building in there. And you are going to use those cards to move, recruit, to build stuff on the board. Now, you also need those cards for combat. So you're trying to gain control of areas that have these minerals on them, these crystals, which might score you points later during the game. Now, if everybody done their 3 actions each round, which is not a lot, so this game goes really fast, 3 actions each round, and you play a maximum of 5 rounds only, so you do maximum of 15 actions in the game, then you get to the combat phase. So each zone where there's a combat will be done one by one, and the combat is pretty cool. So you have this small board next to the main board, which is the combat board, and you have 3 objectives that you're going to fight for. You're going to fight for control of the area, you're going to try to get prisoners, and you're going to try just to shoot the hell out of other players' units. So the attacking player places his units that he has in that area on that board, and the other player will respond by placing theirs. Now, then there will be a back and forth play of cards that you still have left in your hand, so you want to have some cards for a battle as well, or even more battles. And you're going to place them. You can change the position of units on that battle board. You can add to it. You can even change the direction of the actions to be resolved. Awesome, awesome system. One of the best battle systems that I ever seen. And in that way, the game goes fast, exciting. You have to think each faction has a different way to play, but still, you have the pilgrims, for example, which are kind of pacifistic. They want to turtle a little bit, but I've seen them win very aggressively as well. Awesome game. I cannot say more about this. This is one of the surprises for me. I didn't expect to like this as much as I do, but I do, and it's my number 5 of all time, my number 1 game of 2016. My number 4, just missing the top 3, and even worse, it dropped out of the top 3. It was number 3 last year, but it dropped 1 spot. It had to make room for the big surprise of this list, perhaps. And this game is a cooperative game again. It is designed by Corey Kosnieska and Nikki Valens. 1 to 8 players, but I never would imagine play this with 8 players, by the way. I love this solo or 2 player. Maybe 3 players will work as well, very well. And this is a game by Fantasy Flight Games. There we are again, Fantasy Flight Games. They made a top 4 game for me. It is number 35 on Board Game Geek, so it is popular. And, well, it is Eldritch Horror. Eldritch Horror is what they call a real Ameritrash game, in which you move your units or your character around the board of the world to different locations where you are going to do some encounters. You're going to try to build up your character, get more items that will help you fight these Cthulhu-ish creatures of Lovecrafting world. Now, the way you do that is most of the time by rolling dice, and that's what it is. This is a dice fest. You'll roll a lot of dice, you get encounters which tell you a story. Now, this is not per se a coherent story. You have all these different encounters in different parts of the world, and in the end you're trying to defeat one big ancient one. Very hard to win. I think I won this once or twice. I did a playthrough of this as well. I think I might have done 2. There will be a 3rd one probably as soon as the new expansion, which will be there very soon, will come out. And if I get some time to do it, there will be a new big playthrough of Eldritch Horror. I really like this game. I love the theme. I love the excitement. I love the story it tells. And I hope to win this once more in the future. So that's why I keep on playing this. But just most of the time because I enjoy this game so much. And that's why it is my number 4 still. Eldritch Horror. My number 3. probably the biggest surprise of them all. It was my number 15 last year. It got up 12 spots here, and it is number 255 on Board Game Geek, so it is liked, maybe loved by many, but not the top game of all time. But for me, it is my number 3. Oh, somehow it made it there. It is a game published by Ludonaut. It is designed by Christopher Rambo. And it is, it is a game that you can play 2 to 6 players, but I think you need at least 4 to make this really fun. And I'm talking about Colt Express. Yes, people, Colt Express is my number 3 game of all time. Somehow this game intrigues me, gives me so much pleasure. This is a gateway game. You can play this with new people because it's so easy to teach. In this game, each player is this train robber, and you're trying to get the most loot out of that train. And the train is a 3-dimensional train. Let's see if I can show you something. Well, I've got all the components, so you have really a train, cards and stuff like that. So how do you do that? You have a certain amount of cards in your hand that gives you different actions: shooting, punching, picking up loot and stuff like that. Now you're going to play cards depending on where you are at the moment of the train route. So you have this mission card. It tells you when you are outside the tunnel and when you're inside the tunnel. If you're outside, you just play 1 card face up, and then each player plays 1 card and another one. If you are in a tunnel, and then you are in the dark, and you play your card face down, so nobody has a clue what you are up to. You might bluff, they might think you're doing something, but you might do something completely different. Now, if each player played all the cards they had to play, then you are going to do whatever the cards say. You have to pick up the pile of cards, and then you're going to play them one by one, moving characters, shooting, punching, dropping loot that way, maybe even shooting into thin air because someone that you thought would be there is gone. At the end of the game, you score bonus points if you are the most aggressive player, if you shot the most people. And there is a marshal running around in the train cards. If you get caught by the marshal, he will shoot you and send you up the roof, because you can choose to be up the roof or in the train. Wow, this is exciting, a little bit hectic sometimes, but the theme is awesome. It looks great on the table, and this is pure fun. Now I have 2 expansions for this game already. I haven't used them yet because the base game is so fun as it is. Yeah, folks, I could not resist it. This had to be so high on the list. I really love this game. Colt Express, my number 3. Number 2. Now it's getting exciting. Which one is my number 2 and which was my number 1? Number 2 was number 2 last year, so it didn't change the number 2 spot. It's a game from Rio Grande Games, plays up to 2 to 5 players, and it plays the same way, the same fun, even almost evenly quick as a 2-player game, 2 or 5 players, doesn't matter. It plays very great always. It is by Wai Hua Huang and Tom Lehman, it is number 39 on Board Game Geek. It is my number 2 because I haven't played it that much this year somehow. I don't know why, but I always want to play this. And this game is Roll for the Galaxy. Now you might know Race for the Galaxy. This is the dice version of it, which in my opinion is so much better, so much easier to teach and to learn as well. And it actually uses, dice placement again. So, each round you roll some dice, which are your workers, and you assign them to different missions. So you can even change some of them depending on which tiles you already have. And with those dice, you're trying to build structures or get technology into your tableau. And they can give you more dice with more powers and stuff like that. And that way you're going to build up your engine, and you're also trying to score points that way. As soon as someone built enough tiles, the game ends and you tally up points. And the cool thing is these dice can be anything. So you can use them to get money. You can use them to get more tiles from a bag, more tiles that you can build. You can build with the dice. You can build buildings and the technology, 2 different actions. Or you can make resources on planets that later with other die roll you can get, you can harvest, as you can call it. And that can score you points or give you more credits to use for more things. awesome system. It plays so smooth, and as I said, it plays awesome with 2 players. It plays as awesome with 5 players because it's so fluent. You roll dice, you assign them, you reveal, you do whatever they say. Only actions that people have chosen will be resolved. So each player picks one action that will be resolved for sure. And depending on what the other one shows, if they all show the same thing, only one action will be done, and that's cool. So you want to do an action for sure, maybe you really want to do another one, but you have to hope that someone else will do it as well. Awesome system, love the die rolling. There are a billion dice in this game. It looks cool, and wow, this is a very, very good game. No, it is an awesome game. It is my number 2 still. Roll for the Galaxy. Number one. Fireworks, confetti, music, dancing, people, and stuff like that. We're at my number 1 game of all times. And I must admit, it has been closer than last year's. Maybe next year it will be different. Who knows? But still, my number 1, still make it to number 1, is game by Portal Games, Ignacy Cevicek. One of the biggest reasons that I love Portal so much. It has changed my life. It is number 21 on Board Game Geek, so it means it's my lucky number on Board Game Geek, 21. It plays 1 to 4 players, and of course I'm talking about Robinson Crusoe, which is so good that there is a new edition. I have both of them, of course. This one was an old one by Z-Man Games, and this one is the new one back to Portal Games. And in this game, well, you are trying to survive on an island. So this game comes with different scenarios, I think 8 scenarios or something like that. And each scenario plays different. So you have a goal in a scenario, and this is a worker placement game. Actually, this is a Euro game, which is very thematic. It is a possibility, yes. So in this game, each round, players are assigning their workers to different actions. You can hunt animals, you can build, you can go harvest stuff. You can explore the island. You can make up camp, so you clean camp so morale goes up a little bit. You can build different items. You want to have a roof above your head, but because at the end of the round maybe some rain is coming, even snow might happen. Or you want to build a palisade because animals might attack your camp. You have each round, you have an event that will, well, do something probably bad to you, and maybe become even worse. You want to put people on that to deny it becoming worse. And wow, and in the meantime, you're trying to do something. You're trying to build a big fire to call for a ship because you are stuck on the island. At this moment, as I'm filming this, I'm doing a playthrough on my channel where we have to get to save 3 animals from poachers. So many different options. There is an expansion which takes you to the voice of the beagle. Oh man, possibilities are endless. The stories that this game tells are amazing, and that's why it's still my number 1. Each time we play and probably lose the game, tells us a new story, immerses us into the survival on the cursed island, because this island, and especially the dice that you have to roll, are just, they're cursed. They're so cursed. Wow. But I'm still loving this game. This is my number 1 game of all time still. Wow. I love it. Robinson Crusoe, my number 1 still. And that's it, folks. This was my top 75 games of all time at this moment in time of the games that I played so far, the 2016 edition. There are probably some surprises there, some less big surprises like the number 1. Number 3 might be some controversially, yeah. So let me know in the comments what you think of my top 10. Which games would you have chosen to place there? Which games do you think belong there or just don't belong anywhere in the top, any else but the top 10 worst games of all time? Who knows? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please give this a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to this channel and think, wow, this is fun, he has a cool taste of games and I want to see more of them in his playthroughs, feel free to subscribe. Now, normally I think there should be on the channel already an announcement of a live stream where I'm going to look back at this list together with the viewers who can join the chat, and we're going to talk about the games that are here on the list and also about the games that are not on the list, because I believe there will be some people who'd say, what about this or that game? I have some titles in my head that people are missing on this list. So be sure to watch that. If you want to come there to that stream live, it's always fun to chat together and talk together about stuff. Anyway, that's the list. We're done. Our number one is known. It is Robinson Crusoe still, but it is getting harder and harder. First Martian is coming this year. Clank is getting an expansion. Eldritch Horror getting more stuff to it. Oh man, and there are many games that I still have to play. So who knows? Next year, when we do this again, there might be some changes again. Very well, we'll see. And I thank you for watching this segment of the top 75 list. And see you all in the future. Bye bye.